This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and it's not every day you hold a 15.6-inch laptop with just a couple of fingers, is it? That's because this is the LG Gram 2017 model. This is the LG Gram 15 specifically. It's available in 13, 14, and 15-inch sizes. 5 months ago or so, we reviewed the 14, and now we've got the 15 in-house. And one of the problems I had, particularly with the 15 inches, it was ungodly expensive when it first came out. It was like $1,700 for the top model, which is what we have here with a touch screen and a Core i7. Now it's just, well, around $1,300, which is a perfectly fair price and is competitive with laptops from, well, pretty much the only direct competitor is the Samsung Notebook 9. We're going to look at it now. So this is likely the lightest 15-inch laptop currently on the planet. It's so named the Gram because, well, it weighs around 1 kilogram, a little bit over, which is 2.4 pounds. That is half the weight of the lightest 15-inch Ultrabooks on the market that compete, like, say, the HP Spectre X360 15-inch, the Dell XPS 15, and those are famously light machines. It's still pretty rigid, though, and part of it, on the bottom, on the underside, you can see there are rubber bumpers on the motherboard to actually support the bottom panel on this. Magnesium alloy all around with some nano carbon fiber inside. Anyway, it feels pretty normal in terms of rigidity. It's not the most rigid laptop you've ever felt, but I think it would be acceptable for most people. There's no untoward flex here. Let's take a short break to talk about our sponsor, NordVPN. Now, we've done their products before, and they're one of the better VPN providers in the pay-for VPN space. Whether you're using an open network at Starbucks or a hotel, or you want to do some peer-to-peer stuff, or you're gaming and you're region locked, and there's many uses these days. Even if Equifax has gone and shared all of your personal data by accident, whoops, you still want to keep what you have left in terms of your data secure. They have 1,000 servers in 61 countries, no data logging, and those are fast servers too, especially VPNs can often lag. It's not so much. You got 24/7 support, 6 simultaneous connections, automatic kill switch, and it works even in China and bypasses the Great Firewall, and works in Middle Eastern countries too. So those are two things that really set it apart. Military-grade encryption, you name it. So if you visit nordvpn.com/mobile and use the discount mobile, you will get 70% off a year of service. Now, we reviewed the 14-inch 5 months ago, and like I said, this is more captivating, particularly because 15-inch is that mainstream big screen size that a lot of people like, and because the price has come down a whole heck of a lot since it was introduced. Good times. You have Intel Core i5 and i7 CPU options inside. That's 7th generation dual-core 15-watt CPUs. And you can see the specs on screen here. So the lower price one, that's about $1,100 on Amazon right now, has the Core i5 and no touch screen. And the Core i7 has a touch screen. And you get more storage in the bigger price model too. So, you know, for that $200 difference, I think most people are going to opt for the higher end model. You double your storage, you get a touch screen. What's not to love? No matter what, all day, all night, 1080p display, 1920 by 1080. That's as high as they go. Probably because they're looking to keep the battery life good on this and also keep the price down since you're already paying a premium for being so thin and so light. As ever, the Samsung Notebook 9, the non-Pro model, is really the only direct competitor. They're doing the same, make it as thin and light as possible. We have reviews of those too, so you can check that out. Other than that, there isn't much on the market. It's a pretty nice, clean, bloat-free experience too. Windows 10 64-bit Home Edition here. LG has a simple tool that grabs updates. You can tweak your various laptop settings on it. Other than that, there's no junk on it, so very sweet. No junk whatsoever. The display on this, well, it's a little bit of a treat because usually these ultra portables, they just don't have touchscreens because those add thickness and they add weight. Somehow LG managed to get one in here, and that's what makes this one a little bit special over the competition. It's a pretty good looking display. We do have the touchscreen model. We got 300 nits of brightness. You know, to look at it, it looks very colorful. You would think the gamut is quite good on it, but it falls a little bit below the average competition. You can see those specs on screen there. You couldn't tell from looking at it. It's perfectly pleasant. It's nice enough, you know, and for hobbyist photo and video editors, it's going to be fine. Of course, if you're a professional, you might want something higher gamut. You might also be using an external monitor at that point. Contrast is great on it. It has the usual kind of blue-green tint out of the box. It does need calibration to get rid of that, but it's perfectly calibratable, if that is a word, and it looks, yeah, great. In terms of performance, you are not giving up anything compared to any other dual-core Ultrabook that's available on the market, just even though it's half the weight, which is pretty good stuff. It doesn't get hot to the touch, it doesn't get loud, and you can see in the benchmark graph there for PC Market, it doesn't thermal throttle. That's a perfectly normal looking graph that we would see on any Ultrabook in this category, and that's good stuff. It's available with 8 or 16 gigs of low-power DDR3 RAM, and it's dual channel if you get the 16 gig, which is going to help the Intel HD 620 graphics perform a little faster. And that's your only option. There's no dedicated option here for graphics. The neat thing is it does have a RAM slot inside. So even if you offer the cheaper model with 8 gigs of RAM, you can upgrade it yourself afterwards and put in a module. And you can get it up to dual channel that way. That's pretty nice. Usually these things have everything soldered on, and you very rarely see RAM that's upgradable. Of course, the M2 SSD has a normal M2 socket, so you can upgrade that. That's just SATA, no PCIe, NVMe super fast SSD, just your average fast SSD. The keyboard is surprisingly good. 1.3 millimeters of key travel ain't a lot, and it's 0.1 millimeters less than, say, the Dell XPS line, but it feels very good. Very positive key feel on it. The nice damping, no rattling. 2 stages of white backlighting. I really like it, and you get your number pad on the side for those of you who like that thing. The Elan trackpad is pretty decent too. I have no complaints, no misbehavior. The chin cam, the 720p chin cam, nobody's going to love that one. If you use video conferencing a lot, this probably wouldn't be your pick just because of that. Because nobody looks good, from the underside of their chin, whether you have a double chin, a fuzzy chin, whatever the issue might be, people will know it. Also, the speakers on this, like most ultralights, are just feeble. They are not loud at all. They are quiet, and there is absolutely no bass here. So this is going to be headphones or external speakers when you want to enjoy movies. Battery life on this, well, LG made some crazy claims. At first they were saying over 20 hours, then they used a more modern memory benchmark, and they were dropping it down. They're still claiming about 12.5 hours of battery life for this, and it's a 60 watt-hour battery. Same battery capacity in all 3 LG gram sizes there. And that's a pretty ample battery given the fact this is basically an Ultrabook with a 1080p display. Battery life is, in fact, really very good. It ships by default with LG's long life battery plan, which, as you might guess, cuts back on performance a little bit for better battery life. About 15 to 20% drop in benchmarks if we use it with that power plan. But if you're doing everyday productivity work, you'll still have more than enough speed. If you're doing heavy lifting and you notice it lagging, switch to the standard Windows balance plan. We manage 9-10 hours, no problem, with 35% brightness. It's a bright display, so that's pretty bright, and leaving Wi-Fi on, of course, too. So that's pretty good. If you go for the Core i5 with the no touchscreen option, that should get you even a little bit better battery life, maybe 45 minutes more. So again, usually these ultra portables, they shave off the battery life, not this one. Very good battery life. It supports USB charging. It does not ship with the USB charger, but you could do so if you wished to do so, and it's a very compact charger. So just like the Gram 14 2017 model that we reviewed, you have to remove all of these rubber feet here and the little rubber covers. Now, if you use just a small, slot head screwdriver, carefully pry them up. They pop right up. It's a lot easier. Then there's these Phillips head screws. You unscrew all those, and then you use something like a suction cup. Makes life easier. Pulls it off because this is on pretty tightly. And that's what that looks like. And here we have the internals. Giant label here for our 60 watt-hour battery. Again, just like the Gram 14. There's our stereo speakers. There's a nice metal fan shroud. And see, these are the rubber standoffs I was talking about, or standards. This supports the bottom so it feels more rigid. Here's our M2 SSD, and here is our single RAM slot. The Wi-Fi card is on a daughter board over here. It is not a socketed Wi-Fi card, but it's an Intel 8265 AC card. It's perfectly good. Dual band card. Probably no reason you'd want to ever upgrade that. So that's the LG Gram 15. You're not going to build muscles carrying this thing around, that's for sure. Pros for this are, well, it's incredibly thin and light. I mean, half the weight of other super thin and light 15-inch Ultrabooks on the market. It has a USB-C port. It has a pleasing display with a touchscreen option on it. Plenty of ports as well, considering its size. The cons, well, the speakers are just really anemic. It has a chin cam, so yeah, Keep those shaved, boys. And lastly, it's actually pretty well built. They've done with each generation a great job of making this more rigid, but it's not going to be Dell XPS 13 level of rigid or a 12-inch MacBook level of dense and rigid. So if that's really important to you, if the slightest bit of flex just makes you unhappy, it wouldn't be for you. I think it's perfectly fine, though. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.